And Renee Criswell says, good morning. Would the Senate have done Clinton's appointments just as they did President Obama, since they would have still been in control? I don't know. And then she said, perhaps there should be term limits on judicial appointments and judges should be scrutinized more while on the bench. What would happen, Attorney Patillo, if we scrutinized judges more on the bench? And I'm going to open that to you, and then I want you to answer, Attorney Hoffler. What about these lifetime appointments? Why must they be lifetime appointments? Let me start there.
Well, this is one of those theoretical aspects from the founding of the nation that is not practiced in almost any other industrialized or modern country, because the idea around the lifetime appointment was that it would free the judges from political constraints. It would, by having them secure in their occupations, they could be free and unbiased. We've seen this at certain points in our history where judges were appointed with the belief that they would be conservative, and they turned out to be far further to the left than expected. We've also seen it in the other direction. I do think that if we ever get around to amending the Constitution again, because we used to be in a place where we would amend the Constitution every 10 to 20 years to solve problems, to address issues. We haven't amended the Constitution in over a generation now. And that might be one of the things that we look into when we determine things that need to be changed, because right now we're in a situation where entire political parties are just dedicated to trying to stack the court 5-4 in their on their side, so they can roll back every single thing that the other side did, and then the other side hopes to switch it over to 5-4 their way, so they can roll back everything the other side did. I don't think that's what the founders intended.
Attorney Hoffler, what about these lifetime appointments? I mean, do you think, is there an upside? Is there a downside? I mean, I'm with you, Attorney Patillo. I mean, Attorney Hoffler, I just want to see a fair judge. Because I feel if I'm going to get to court, I'm hoping that I'm in the right, and I just want a fair shot, not an ideologue.
Absolutely, and that's what's troubling about these lifetime appointments. As a practitioner, someone who does practice and tries cases, and I've tried cases in front of very, very fair judges, because all I want for my client is his or her day in court. I don't want anyone to give me anything. I just want a fair day in court, and I don't want ideological issues coming up in the rulings. It's just about fairness, about presenting the evidence. I'm a plaintiff's lawyer generally, so for me, it boils down to proving my case. I bear the burden of proof. But if there are ideological issues that dominate the courtroom, then my concern is that my client's not getting a fair shake. And so when you have lifetime appointments of young people, the people that are being appointed are young. What does that mean? They're going to be around for a bit. That's why this is going to change the fabric of the country, because you're not talking about judges who are going to serve for maybe 8 or 9 years. These are judges going to be around for a while. And the longer you are, the longer you have a chance to shape the opinion, shape laws. And again, it's not just on the district level, it's on the Court of Appeals. It's on every level. So if you have people who are like-minded and some would say unfair, who are imposing their ideals on the system and preventing people from getting to justice. I mean, that's one position that we could take. And it goes to all levels. Then, as a claimant, as someone going through the system, you really feel that you won't get your fair shake. And that's what we need to fight against. Everyone deserves a fair shake. Everyone.
But
it doesn't matter who you are.
Well, I mean, practically speaking, what does a right-wing court system look like? I mean, what kind of decisions will they make? Attorney Patillo, and then...
I defer to Attorney Patillo first on that.
Oh, well, absolutely. I think we have to look at things such as the enforcement of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, enforcement of Voting Rights Act, enforcement of labor laws, enforcement of environmental regulations, enforcement of women's rights. What we have is that throughout Jim Crow segregation, we saw that the federal court system was the backstop for the enforcement of rights, where you had local jurisdictions and local judges who were swayed by local biases the federal judiciary system was where we ran to. That's where we got the Brown versus the Board of Education decision. And if you allow the courts to roll back these decisions, then we can lose things such as public accommodation, which nobody has talked about in 50 years. We lose the broad interpretation of the Commerce Clause as an ability to regulate private industry with regards to racial discrimination. So this, just like in local races where people get really excited by the top of the ticket and run out of steam by the time it gets to judicial races, we have to do the same thing and understand the importance of the judicial races on national politics.
Attorney Hoffler, I mean, in practical terms, what does this rightward shift in the courts mean? You know, we just heard Attorney Patillo talk about the Civil Rights Act. I just saw a headline from the Washington Post: Ben Carson's disturbing retreat on fair housing. You know, fair housing had as HUD had as part of its mission, it was to thwart segregation, and they've kind of pulled fairness out of their mission statement. I mean, is that what we're going to see?
I think that could be one example. I mean, that is very disturbing that Ben Carson, of all people, would take that position. But Ben Carson is part of an administration that believes in certain ideals, and he's merely executing on what has been the mantra for that administration in some respects. So when we talk about what we can expect, I think we can expect a lot of reversals of a lot of things that many in this country hold near and dear, which is civil rights, equal rights, human justice, human rights, fair housing, gender equality, race equality. I mean, it's just, I could go down a laundry list. I think Attorney Patillo did an excellent job at outlining some of the issues. But as a practitioner, I think on a very significant level, just being subjected to, no matter how much evidence you present, no matter how right you may be on the issues, just not really having a fair shake. That is why the jury system, for me, is so important. It's so important. Because if you have a judge that may be predisposed, if you've got, and even though that judge can impact a jury, certainly, and can make certain rulings, even when a jury does speak, I just believe in the jury system, because that is where, in a courtroom, you do have more of an opportunity to get justice, because a jury of your peers will speak. But a judge has control over issues as a matter of law. A judge can set aside a verdict. There could be post-verdict actions that a judge could take that could devastate a case. So this could potentially be devastating, and I think people need to keep their eye on this right now. Don't think about it in November. You got to look at it now, because right now, and since our president has been in office, he's been putting in place this very aggressive approach to impact, to change the fabric of this country through the judiciary. It's just been more quiet. It's sort of like we've been looking at the big issues, because there's so many issues to look at in this administration, and we have been asleep at the switch, I believe, on the judiciary. And now it's coming to the forefront because of what we see is happening with all of these members being approved at or being confirmed at record rates. And as we know, during the Obama, and I think I heard Attorney Patillo address this during the Obama administration, they stacked it so that none of his appointees ultimately were able to get confirmed, or very few of them, during his entire really administration, if you think about that.
That's unbelievable. But, and wow. And we did not push back, but a lot of people, I think we were so focused on making sure that he was all right that we missed that. And I think that was a big mistake. We're going to pay for that. What about, there are advocacy groups, progressive advocacy groups, who've said that the president should not be allowed to make these lifetime appointments while he's been impeached. Starting with you, Attorney Hoffler, and then you, Attorney Patillo. What do you think about that?
I think there's some validity to that. I mean, if we think about it. Our president's been impeached. Now, he's not been removed from office, but he has been impeached. So that's part one. there are many who believe that, and the way the president looks at it, well, that means nothing. He believes that impeachment means nothing. It's nothing more than the Democrats moving their agenda. And until he's removed from office, he's going to continue to govern. That's how he looks at it. I just believe that that is the Congress represents the people, and the people have spoken on the impeachment question, at least in one of our houses of Congress. And I think that means something. And I think that the trust and the confidence and the ability of our commander-in-chief to push an agenda needs to be put in check. So I do think that is something we need to look at. I think it's something that we need to, as a country, examine. Is this what we want to happen? We have found there's at least a credible body, that is found that represents this country that he has been in violation of the law. So much so that potentially he should be removed from office. So I don't think that we can ignore that. I think that we need to look at the Constitution. I think we need to look at checks and balances. And I think we need to take action. We have elected these legislators, take action to see how we can potentially impact his ability to push through these nominees. Of course, it's going to turn on the Senate. And unfortunately, there's not a lot that we can do, but there's things that can be done.
Attorney Patillo?
Well, I think the issue is that we've seen the systems that we have break down. What we saw when Harry Reid was Senate Majority Leader was he took away the need for there to be 60-vote majority in order to pass judicial nominees. They took away the filibuster for judicial nominees. So what we've seen is over the course of the last 15 to 20 years that the Senate has become more and more partisan, less and less cordial. It's intended to be the cooling saucer of our democracy, and they had a crucial role in advising the president when it came to judicial nominees, cabinet appointees, et cetera. We have to re-examine how we look at our system, because we can't continue to go with brinksmanship, where we take away one norm after another as a response to the instant issue. Because what we see is it turns into a tit for tat. You have Harry Reid does one thing, then Mitch McConnell does something else, and then if Chuck Schumer is in charge next cycle, something else will be done in response. So we have to look at the fundamental nature of our system, because what we would see is if we take away the power of the president during impeachment to appoint judicial nominees, then the slippery slope of that would be every president will be impeached. As soon as the House of Representatives is in the hands of the opposition party. So we have to find a better way of adjudicating these issues than simply one-upping each other every time the other is in power, because it gets to a place where we are right now, where the important work of governance does not get done.